So is Spicer in too already? They are in. Okay. So will we be able to hear them?
Good morning. Can you guys hear us?
Okay, we got you.
Can hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're gonna start the meeting and then we'll invite you to present in just a few minutes.
Excellent. Thank you.
It is Thursday, August 22nd, 9 a.m., or 21st. And we're in the Harborview Community Room. This is the August monthly meeting for the Housing Commission. And I'd like to have a call order.
All right, roll call. Commissioner Mycheck is absent. Commissioner Pelton,
Here.
Commissioner Goodman, absent. Commissioner Samansky,
Here.
President Fosdick.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Amendments to the agenda, the only amendment I have, I don't know if it's on here. Lori expressed some interest here in the last day or two about taking the staff to a
Conference.
conference
Yeah.
for fair housing training. So I want that on the agenda so we can approve or disapprove that. Okay.
All right, won't we put it under new business G, conferences, and there's some information about the conferences too.
B, what happened to F?
F is scattered site,
There,
Oh,
new business.
unless I forgot my alphabet.
Got your glasses on.
I was in old business.
Yeah, I'd put it under
Okay.
G.
Any
maybe.
other amendments to the agenda? Okay, public comments on agenda related items. This has got to be on the agenda, Dave, otherwise you have to wait till the end of the meeting. Okay, what's your comment?
On the internet, progress on the internet. Apparently Lori was of the assumption that there was AT&T before, when the Housing Commission dropped Spectrum's proposal. Spectrum did provide basic TV here. And then they kept raising the rates. So this was back in the previous administration. I think it was maybe 17 or 18. So then the commission decided each individual had to get their own TV service through Spectrum Charter, whatever they want to call it. But they were noted for getting people started and then just raising the rates like crazy. So,
That's always been the case with
Yeah.
cable TV.
so now if we have to come down here to get Wi-Fi, it's gonna be really inconvenient. Because we've been able to get it in the rooms.
But you should still be able to get it.
Yeah, but it's so sketchy, you can't log in to the legal document there.
Okay,
So,
well, it is not on the agenda, but I do know we are working on that.
Yeah.
It's not on the agenda yet because it was going to be, but it's not because we're still, haggling back and forth as to what they want to charge our residents. Still. Oh, is it? Oh, pardon me. There is a, update for Charter Spectrum bulk agreement,
but
which I don't think there is one.
I wouldn't have brought it up if I
Right.
read the thing on the wall.
Okay.
But it would be really convenient for the people to have reliable
And inexpensive.
access, yeah. Be great,
Yes,
and
and we are working toward that.
the residents should be considered low income here. And not just general public. So there should be some consideration in the negotiations for that effect.
Mhm.
So, and, I don't know where the little transmitters are for the Wi-Fi, but there's at least two. Now, I don't know who the IT person is gonna be. But I think you need to have somebody in charge of the IT and the computers. And how we access them, and if there's a time limit on the old policy, you can only be on here an hour a day. I can't write an email in an hour.
But Dave, I'm curious, was it working better a year ago or 6 months ago?
Yes,
Okay, so it's something fairly recent?
well, ever since they put that extension cord over the freezeway, it's gone downhill. Quality's
So
gone.
maybe there's something with one of the repeaters is just not working.
Yeah.
If it was working well before and it stopped, then there's, yeah.
They were up there 2 o'clock in the morning working on the phone pole where that extension cord came from. And that's not, that extension cord is not high speed internet.
Yeah.
We never did get a lot, you know. Maybe somebody should look into that.
And Lori is looking into it. I wish
Yeah.
she was here today, but she isn't, but she is definitely looking into it.
She's got a specialist coming that's been with the company.
And she did have a meeting here, I think it was last week, with the resident council and any and all residents. And she had the secretary of the resident council show up, and that was it. So apparently it's not something that the residents are really enamored about.
I think
They want to
some
make more.
didn't know about it when it happened today. We didn't know.
But we are looking into it.
Thank you.
Consent agenda, approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes for the 17th of July. Approval of bills and disbursements for July and financial reports for June of 25.
I'll make a motion, we accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Old business. Spicer Group is on first because I know they have time constraints, so we will do that. Shoreline approved.
So that's this. So hello, Spicer Group, you're up. So we're gonna send it right
Oh.
over to you.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, thank you. Very nice. Thank you for having us and letting us be able to join via Teams call. I'm Cindy Todd, and with me is Sarah Teal from Spicer. And just before we get started, I had another meeting when we had spoken to Lori, and so I was just going to kind of introduce us and kind of go through it real quick. I just talk real briefly, and then I was going to have Sarah stay on the line because I have another meeting I need to get out into here at 9:15. And then Sarah will just kind of go over the concepts, just as kind of the layouts with you. Just some of the ideas where things were, what we were talking about with Lori and the team when we were out on site. And really it's just, you guys can give us comments back, or you can just take a look at them and then gather comments and then get them back to us. It's really just a little of a brief presentation. So sometimes it's hard to read, as you look at a site plan, it's hard to read at a flat plan exactly, what exactly everything is saying. And so our hope was to give you a little bit of an insight to what those two concepts and the differences between those two concepts are. And the different elements we had talked in the field with the team, what we were looking to develop. Sarah, do you mind sharing your screen? I don't know if you guys can see our computer, but I know
Not
you
at
have
all.
you have it printed out in front of you as well. But we'll probably start with concept one. There's Sarah. Actually, or here's me
Okay.
too, but I'm gonna have to get out of the car here in a minute.
I had it open a second
but,
ago, so
Excellent. So we're going to start just with
Okay.
concept one. And you know what? I am probably just going to leave you with Sarah, and Sarah just have her get started. So I'm not kind of just walking out in the middle of a conversation. Is that all right with you, Sarah?
that is perfectly fine. Yes.
All right. And thank you very much for having us. I mean, if the idea is really just to give you an idea of where these plans are at, and then we can kind of go from there. Sarah, it's all yours. Thank
All
you.
right. Good morning. Thanks, Cindy. Have a good site visit. All
Thanks.
right. Good morning, everyone. So we have I'm the main designer on this, and Cindy's a project manager. So my main purpose is just to walk through the design. So we have two concepts. Can you all hear me okay? First of all?
Yeah, it's a little quiet. I
Oh,
don't know if
we're
it's our
just-
setting.
Okay. And
I'm
I can
trying-
speak up too on my
All right.
end.
All right, I got
I
you. Jen.
I tend to have a softer voice, so definitely interrupt me
better.
if I need to pump it up.
Yeah, that's much
Okay.
better.
Perfect. All right, we have two concepts, and each kind of celebrate access, accessible access on the top of the slope, as well as on the bottom of the slope at the waterfront. So that way it's a full continuous access. Um, both have overlooks just in different configurations, and they just have different approaches as to how to get down to that water level because we're dealing with quite a bit of grade difference to get from the top to the bottom. You see that when you're on site. And we also have follow-up imagery to go with that. So it's just the intent with the two concepts to throw out a couple ideas, and it's always kind of a Frankenstein thing at the end to give you items and elements to pull from each concept to get the best final plan. So I'll just run with it. So the first concept coming from Harbor View, there's a trailhead right here. And that's just celebrating that a little bit more, opening it up, creating a seating area, putting an overlook right here. Just it's a great view coming from that point. And to have a small gathering area with interpretive signage. And you could either go along this portion right here, and we have an image that shows that access, and then, or you can take the boardwalk and go directly down to the waterfront. And the main difference I want to pull attention to is that the two ways to get down to it is just a matter of how quick you get down to it and the ease of how you get down to it. So the first concept, it's more gradual. It's 5%. It's very comfortable. Those long runs will just be like a nice walk down. And each landing right here is a little bit more generous with a seating bench getting down. And then can you see my cursor too when I'm going?
We can't
Going
really
down,
see
or-
you.
or is it
We're
tiny?
following
Okay.
on- We're following
Okay.
on this.
So I'll slow down and go more methodic. So we're at the trailhead, there's an overlook. And then going down the ramp, it's a switchback at 5% to get down to the slope of the boardwalk. And
What is
that's
the
where we
1/12
meet.
slope?
Hmm?
As far as the percentage of 1/12 slope, what is the percentage on that?
A 1/12 slope?
Yes,
1 inch for 12 feet.
right, for-
Which is the standard for a ramp.
right,
How does that compare to 5 degrees is what he's asking.
Right.
Correct. 1/12 slope is about 8.3%.
okay.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because concept 2 addresses that, and I'll share that portion of it. When we meet down with the existing dock or whatever is down at the waterfront, the intention is for those two boardwalks to be flush and meeting at the same grade. And that from that point on, headed east, we're hitting the point where you have the existing sheet piling there. And the intention there is to add concrete, and all along the waterfront, there's a cable railing. And that cable railing can be at the height where that whole length is allowing accessibility for fishing, or the railing can drop down at certain points to allow just intermittent specific areas for accessible fishing.
Now, on this ramp,
Uh-huh.
is it going to be ground level all the way down, or are there going to be parts of it that are going to be aerial?
They're going to be raised, and on the waterfront side specifically, that's where it'll have a railing.
I think he means is the boardwalk going to be touching the earth, or is it going to be inches above the earth?
It'll need to be inches above the earth. That way there's no rotting or whatever of those wood elements. Yeah. All right, following along the waterfront, breaching from here to here, we do have quite a bit of slope on the back. So this is gonna overhang the water portion of that frontage. There's not really a way to avoid cutting into that slope without adding retaining walls. So both of these schemes are following that same method. And then over when you get to the Century Terrace, this is where we have the opportunity to bring a boardwalk ramping, same percentage, 5% nice and relaxed, up to the top with the landing midway through. And then this is looking at the Century Terrace and saying, can we clean it up and integrate some type of overlook and integrate those materials a little bit better. And then at the bottom where you have the existing walkway with the steps going down surrounding the riprap is that will probably, we were told that that's a little bit low and that it floods. So what we can do is we can pull the boardwalking into that, but those red pieces, those are just saying it's pretty exposed there. Perhaps shade structures can be added, and all that white riprap that perhaps that can be softened by putting a plant material on those in and without brown those ripraps. And then headed down this area is where we have that notch where it's the existing, was it Century boat? Is that correct?
Yes.
Where that's the old historic point. So it's more or less saying, let's clean up that railing, let's pull the boardwalk into that space and celebrate it a little bit more and make a historic marker and tell the history of what that is. And then we're ending right here at the property line because with the hopes that in the future, we'll be able to connect more of the waterfront. I know there's more studies that'll need to be done along that portion of it, but that's, we're not intentionally showing a stairway going up because it won't be accessible going up to the top of that parking lot. All right, jumping to the Century Terrace patio.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah,
Before you go to number two, so on
absolutely.
concept number one, there is
Uh-huh.
no access from Century Terrace's parking lot to this boardwalk, right? Without going through the building.
Correct. Yep. But that
Okay.
would be something to mark up that if that's a desire, yes, let's include that. But the slopes along that area, it looks like it's pretty gradual and that could be integrated into it. I can
Because
see,
it's our intent to not only have our residents use this area, but
uh-huh.
anybody in the city to be able to use it, not just our residents.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'll make a note of that. Century Terrace parking lot, and that's the parking lot to the east side, correct? Not in between the buildings?
Yes,
Okay. The east side parking lot access.
But there is a walk in front of the sunroom
right,
along there.
but it
That
is
connects to the,
handicap accessible.
but it does
Okay.
connect the parking lot, but it does connect to the parking lot
Yeah,
though.
but it's a,
Mm-hmm.
let's keep it slide down in that parking lot to get to that, and it wouldn't be
Yeah.
handicap accessible.
That's a great comment. Thank you for adding that. Going back up to the patio for the Century Terrace, the intention of that concrete walk is the grade will allow to have an accessible path to connect the two buildings and the trailheads. So that's a nice feature to have. And then right now there's the existing gravel parking lot. We got feedback that there was a desire to have a dog park area. It was mentioned in the earlier meeting that we had, just Cindy and I, that to the north on the other side of the road, there's a potential opportunity with that. And I'll let you all dive into that a little bit more with what that is with the building being demoed. but that was expressed when we walked through this concept one at the prior meeting, that this area will possibly want to be used for parking and to be improved. So we're aware of that. So just to let you know with that portion of it. Right. Is it okay if I flip to concept 2?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Just gotta find it. I accidentally closed it, so I apologize. Okay. All right, concept 2 is this is a concept where I'm gonna jump back to Harborview and go through the same kind of walking route, is looking at this gathering area and making it something else. Let's expand it, make it a planted area. This is not the trailhead, it's just a gathering terrace to connect the trail overlook and the connectivity to that path going over to Century Terrace. So the intent with this one is we have the large parking lot, but that whole view is to put a focus and have the overlook at the end of that parking lot and make it a whole expansive frontage that's railed, that has a trailhead, that has signage, and that's the launch for the ramp to get down. And you'll notice that the ramp on this one does not have as many switchbacks. It's not as long, and it is that 8% max slope to get down. And because of that, with the 8%, we do have intermittent landings that go from one little resting overlook to the other. And that's intentional because it is 8%. We do want to have landings just to ease up that whole long run of ramp area. So, all right, getting down to the waterfront. Again, we're connecting flush with the existing dock that's down there right now. And it's the same idea pretty much from this point to Century Terrace is we have the wood boardwalk. There's cable railing on it. That railing can be configured and dropped at any point to create accessibility for fishing. The sheet piling is going to remain, but this one shows a slightly larger area with concrete that allows seating. And then continuing down the boardwalk that will overhang the water a little bit. And then this has the same idea with going up with a ramp, and this is 8% with the landings to the Century Terrace. The main difference with concept 2 versus concept 1 is we're looking at this patio at Century Terrace, and it is taking an overlook and it's going on top. And we know there's pros and cons with this, is it's flush with the patio for the Century Terrace and it's extending an overlook on top of that existing concrete patio. So there's about a 10-foot open area underneath that overlook where the existing concrete patio is. So that's the main difference between the two, is if that stairway is still desired and to get down at a more direct, non-accessible route, that overlook decking could be notched where that stairway still allows, and it'll allow more daylight into it. And that was discussed at last meeting, is can we keep that stairway? So, and then heading down back on the waterfront is the same idea, is celebrating that historic portion of that and ending the dock.
I do believe, because I did ask Mark Fetter, who was a historian, I asked the city council, I asked anyone I could think of as to whether that had any historic relevance.
Uh-huh.
And everyone said no, just take it out.
Take it out.
It is in tough shape, and I'm not real sure to try to stave it would do anything, so.
I'll make a note of that. Okay.
Well, you were still gonna improve it, right? And just make it a, historic area with signage, correct?
Yeah, there should be historic signage. And I mean, if there were improvements, it could be, we we were thinking it could be a wall mural that's painted onto that wall. It could be brightened up and envisioned with a new railing at the top. There is opportunity to make it a fun kind of little niche, and thinking in the over thinking longer term, that if this whole boardwalk system along the whole waterfront were extended and connecting larger areas like the Veterans Park farther down, and there's more public access to that, it's just a point of interest like you have on the south side, um, of those historic points along the waterfront. It's history that isn't lost and could be celebrated. So that's the thought with that little niche is, if we're thinking about it with the bigger picture and connectivity with the public, that is something that could be improved, or if it's just too dilapidated or it scares, it could not. So just to leave that envisioning open to that possibility is what that is.
My assumption then is that this is not a expensive, piece of, engineering that we're talking about. This is minor.
I would not think it would be. I'm going to oversimplify it because we're not into construction documents, and I've only seen pictures. I have not been out to the site. So I'm going to make that very clear. Cindy has, and I've heard it's a very scary drop. And the railing and everything is not great shape. So, I mean, oversimplifying it, I don't know what the wall looks like. So if the wall is structurally stable, a railing could be put on that, and the decking could be brought into that space, and a pretty fun wall mural could be painted on that wall. So that's, or it can be completely, I don't know, filled in or just pass by. So it's a, yeah.
Okay.
Um, what was that? I did not hear. Okay. Am I okay to move forward?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, perfect.
Throw it back.
All right. Century Terrace up at the top where the patio is, it's just nice to add a buffer between what you have with the residents, adding a buffer with the planting, a nice curved walkway to go through, and just extending that lawn that can be fenced, that could possibly have uh, another fenced area for dogs. It's left to be open for that future programming of what wants to happen outside of that area. But the grading does allow that space to be extended and defined and cleaned up.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna,
All right. Let me share the imagery. There's one more board. Recent. All right, here's some just images to pull you through. Is we have before and afters. So the area that we're walking through with both concepts, where you have the existing sheet piling, which we can see on the before, is and yes, on the after, the retaining wall would remain. That was brought up. This is just an AI generated image, to be frank. But the after photo shows an accessible concrete walk with a nice clean cable edging and some seating. And again, this edging or this cable railing could drop in height to allow for that fishing accessibility. It could remain higher. It just depends on the programming and how that develops. And then also moving forward, the at the end where the boardwalk does, this is just an after picture of what that end could possibly look like with the wood boardwalk, cable railing continuing and just ending at that point, with the possibility that in the future it could be connected. And then if you go to the bottom, left where there's a before and after at the top of the slope where the building edge is, there is enough space and grading would allow for a connector walk that was included in both concepts. But with the caveat is that, yes, we will need to have railing there for sure, just with that railing there. The next photo over with that curved shade structure, that's just kind of celebrating what you have there with the existing patio. It is very bright and exposed, so adding a railing and then shade structures and some site furnishings. The image off to the very right that shows a turf dog park area is, we were aware that the existing gravel parking lot is capped. So this is just showing a detail of that system that it can be put on top of that without, it won't get into that cap system and leach anything. So yeah, that's what I have. Do you need me to flip to any concepts or images? Or do you have any questions?
Is there any vehicle access down to these lower points at all in either of these?
Down to the waterfront?
Yes.
No. Yeah, the boardwalk ramps are all 8 feet wide. Nice and generous width that allows comfortable passing. When you get down to 6 feet, it gets a little too pinchy, especially with the cable railing. I know you didn't ask specifically on that, but I know that does draw attention to how wide are these boardwalks. So right now they're being shown as 8 feet wide.
And now I'm making the assumption that the cable railing is ADA approved.
It is
for
correct.
wheelchairs.
Yep.
Any other questions? Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me talk my face off. And this is a fun exercise, so I definitely appreciate it and look forward to your comments. So thank you so much. All right, I'm going to sign off.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day and a good weekend.
Okay, moving on, City Manistee Ad Hoc Housing Committee. Update.
Yeah, so just the minutes from the meeting were inserted in there, but there was one thing. Let me show you. Easier for me to show you. So there's some discussion about the old hospital property in the map. There's a map in there that shows that. You saw that.
Up on Pierce Center Drive.
Yeah, so it got inserted about the flooding, but so this map showed at one time, it was for all of us, they had proposed
Housing.
housing. Part of, I think we were looking at the housing commission was looking at. So just so you know, that's,
No. This is the Ad Hoc Housing Committee.
I get it.
You got it.
That was what was in the wrong order.
Okay.
In the wrong order, that's all I wanted to say. So this map should have been there instead of under the site.
Is that why this stuff is in the?
That's where the flooding is.
Oh, okay, all right.
This just got inserted in the wrong place, but it's good that you see that because that was talked about in our, that's just what I wanted to tell.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So that's all. The minutes are just attached. So there's been a second meeting, but we don't have the minutes from that yet.
Is anything moving there or is it just?
We're just looking at sites, just having discussions on potential development sites.
Is there a reluctance within the city of doing any of this, better sites?
No, I think that's the reason for just to come up with ideas that are potentials. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It just depends on the building design that we choose.
Just remark, Willie, if you
Well-
can't turn that off, you're gonna have to take it off.
Right.
Anybody there help him turn it off? You don't have to turn it off.
So, Karen, that's a moving target. Whoever, did you ask that? But yeah, it's a moving target. It's, this depends on if it's duplexes, if it's
Yeah.
townhouses or,
So, if we have an idea, I mean, we're looking to get the property and then decide what we're gonna build, or?
no, I think we need to know what's available and then we could size a project on
Okay.
those particular sites. Yeah, so saying that one works, potentially, this one doesn't work, potentially.
Could we use multiple lots?
Potentially, Steve, I think that has a tendency to blow up construction budgets when you have to move,
Okay.
when you have multiple sites, so. But I think the key is, we're gonna talk about this later, is when we talk about a developer partner, then their input will be valuable.
Was there a July 30th or just this June meeting?
There was a July meeting, we don't have the minutes yet,
Oh,
Jenny, they haven't been, we
okay.
haven't had a meeting since to get the minutes.
In multiple sites, as long as they're not on the other end of town.
Yeah,
right? As
yeah.
long as they're somewhat like